And away we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Real World Recovery. My name is Mitchell.
I'm Brett.
And hopefully by now we're your favorite recovery-themed podcast or, just random dude podcast. Available now on more streaming services. I don't have the list, but it is on the website. So you can get us at your favorite, your favorite podcast spot.
Yeah.
And we appreciate all of those of you out there in YouTube land who keep liking and subscribing. So how was your week, Brett?
It was good. It was interesting. Been plugging away. I got us caught up on all of the audio editing, so all of our audio episodes are current with our YouTube video episodes, which is exciting. So that's good.
That is fantastic. I do sincerely appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, man, it's been fun. It's I like learning new stuff. I like improving my skill set, and it got easier because we've gotten better
at recording audio,
doing
allegedly.
Well,
allegedly,
the audio quality improved, but also I think with having the multiple cameras helped just with the overall video editing capabilities in the first place. So I didn't have to do as much merciless cutting in the first place.
Sure. Nor
did I then have to do as much attempts at improving the audio quality either. Right. So that, both of those things helped. And I think we got better at having intelligent conversations for the most part.
I don't know that we got better at it. I think we got more, what's the word? I think what it is we got more comfortable both being on camera and talking to each other naturally as if we weren't on camera. Do you know what I mean? It became less about us filming ourselves doing a podcast and more focused on the conversation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. And along with that, the conversation did stay more podcast friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a kind of side effect, I think.
Last week I cut out so much less than I've ever cut out, and I still somehow made it the shortest podcast yet.
Yeah.
So, we're doing better. Not necessarily staying on topic, but at least getting off topic has been interesting enough to keep in the cut.
Right. Yeah. And even when it goes off topic, it still sort of makes sense for the topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which was, how was your week?
Yeah. Yeah. But truly, that's what I've even been finding when I've been cutting through the audio has been going back and listening back through those early episodes. It was like we were kind of all over the place, but even that still somehow we kind of in a long way around made it back through to staying on topic.
Right.
So it's been kind of fun to go back through and listen to that again. And, a lot of times I've also found myself revisiting those ideas and having some additional kind of light bulb moments, which has been fun.
Well, I think that, on a long enough timeline, we are going to revisit topics because, lives change and situations change and new, developments come.
Yep. Heraclitus said, no man steps in the same river twice because the river's always changing because the water keeps flowing and it's not the same person that, people change. So
that's why I always try to pee in the river when I'm camping. That way I don't have to worry about the campsite smelling like pee.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Pro tip out there for you guys.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Great advice.
I've got all kinds of great advice and a bunch of not so great advice, but
you will like this.
That's for a different podcast.
Little aside. Mm-hmm. I did see a meme.
Oh.
And being, a person who doesn't particularly trade in memes often, it is a camping meme.
Oh,
It
yeah.
said, don't take your camping advice from AI. It was a obviously fake AI generated woman sitting in what looked like designer clothes outside of her very small tent, and the campfire was inside the tent.
You've clearly never been to a music festival.
No,
Because that
I
almost
have.
perfectly describes Electric Forest.
There's a hat right next to you.
Oh yeah, People Fest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was that was, I think, from either the first or the second People Fest.
Is that a camping festival? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Yeah. I went to a summer camp for years in Electric Forest, and yeah, I've been to a number of other ones, but their names elude me because
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Because they're all
You all know
basically-
why.
Because they're all basically the same.
Yeah, I mean, after a while,
Right.
It became repetitive, and it's a lot cheaper to get twisted at home and just listen to the same music or make the music myself.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
anyway.
Anyway, how was your week?
It was good and bad. So I started school this week, guys. I had class on Wednesday. We had Monday off because it was Martin Luther King Day, and I helped Russ with his van. And then Tuesday, I kind of just spent the entire day like anxious and like not actually accomplish anything, but like frantically doing a bunch of things. You know what I mean? So much of the same of the week before, but like more pressure if that's a thing. And then I didn't really sleep going into Wednesday when I had to be at campus like literally all day, and it was a very humbling experience being around all of those kids, but at the same time, I almost felt a little sorry for them because they think they know what they're doing or what they want to do. And maybe some of them do, but I feel like going to school just to go to school is the wrong approach. Do you know what I mean? Because if I would have done it at that age, I would have not done what I'm doing now, and I wouldn't have taken it seriously. I would have continued. It would have been like going to high school for another 4 years, and I wasn't. I mean, I was a good student, but I was also slanging and doing all the other things and stuff. So it's like going to college would have just been more of that, just like with a bigger price tag if I fucked up, which I did a number of times. So yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful that I'm doing it at my age. It was a little awkward, like I said, getting there at first and just being surrounded by the 19-year-olds because I am a freshman, and so I'm in there with freshmen. But with the purpose and direction that I kind of feel, it's okay. And by the time I was halfway through the day on Wednesday, I felt a calmness about it, and okay, you're doing the right thing. Like you belong here. Like there wasn't this weird feeling like, oh, you don't belong here anymore. There was like this, like, you belong here. You know what you're doing. You're here to do what you have set out to do. So, you're here, do it. You paid to be here just like every other one of these kids, man. Like, do the damn thing. But I was really tired by the end of it because like my last class got out at 8 p.m. and I got to school at 9 a.m. And although I did like run home to do some paperwork, I was basically there all day, minus an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. So it was a lot of chilling in the building, which would have been fine if I had homework to do, but I didn't yet. And then we had Monday off because it was MLK, and so a lot of the homework that I got is due Saturday, which would have been fine if it was assigned on Monday, but to have like, basically 8 hours worth of homework between the 4 classes all assigned in one day with 1.5 days to do it, was like, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It will be fine. Now that I know what I'm doing, I know how to get ahead of it because I am aware of like the syllabus and like what the plan is. And I have all the assignments out in front of me now, which I didn't have last week. Otherwise I would have probably gotten out ahead of it. But now that I have all that, I'm going to take the weekend to just like not only get caught up, but try to get a little bit ahead so that I don't run into a situation where I feel pressure.
Yeah.
Because, you don't want to stress out because then you don't learn anything. You can still get it done. You can still pass, but you're not going to learn anything that way because you're going to be like full of anxiety and you're just going to be like writing down the facts or, but yeah, it was good. But I got home today after class and, I ate some food and took a nap because I hadn't eaten. I hadn't slept basically, I slept pretty good Wednesday into Thursday, but it's still, at my aunt and uncle's, that sun comes up as we've talked about before, and it's still up way earlier than I'd like it to be. But I went to bed at a reasonable time, like 11:30, so 8:30 wasn't so rough.
Right.
But yeah, it was it's good now. Now that it's over and I understand what the expectation is and I understand that I'm dressed cooler than any of those kids. And I can always like if one of them like rubs me the wrong way, I can always be like, yeah, that's what your mom said to me last night, and actually it could be factually correct because I'm his mom's age. I don't know. So that was my week. I feel better now, but it's been a rough couple weeks going into it just because I,
Yeah.
am a mental case.
Yeah. Yeah. The unknown.
Yeah, man. So speaking of which, I was thinking that maybe this week we could talk about how to deal with the unknown.
Yeah.
And try your best to handle it in a not completely manic manner.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, not a destructive manner.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's always kind of that fear of the unknown, and especially when things are coming that are out of our control. Mm-hmm. And it can seem big and scary and daunting.
Yes, very daunting.
And I think that's a great topic, and the timing is apropos as well. And it applies, in and out of recovery, to everybody. This happens whether it's job stuff, family stuff, relationships, politically, socially.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to make this a political podcast or a social podcast, but it'd be kind of remiss if we ignored what was going on in the world.
The thing is, in almost any election, roughly half of the people are going to have some sort of feelings that it didn't go their way.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the nature of a polarized two-party system. Mm-hmm. Like, regardless of my personal opinion in any given election, on the big picture, roughly half of the people
right
are not going to get the person that they voted for to win. So there's going to be fear of what's coming, right?
Right.
So, and even leading up to, I think, a lot of times that also tends to guide people's decision on how they vote. And I think that it's something that can teach us a valuable lesson in how we make our decisions in our daily lives about not letting that fear dictate how we behave and how we make our decisions.
Sure.
You know, and it just doesn't do any good to let that emotionality take over and make decisions for us, or if we make decisions while we're in the middle of feeling those emotions, you know, especially fear, because I don't think that there's any real smart decision that comes from, you know, basically being paralyzed by fear. Like, I don't think that you can be real rational. So that said, I think that, you know, when approaching situations like, you know, bringing it back to more of a recovery mindset, like, for me, when I was in treatment,
Oh, man.
there were a lot of unknowns. There were a lot of things that I didn't know what it was going to be like.
I don't know about you, but one of the scariest moments of my entire life was being cut free from rehab,
Yeah.
because it was like, there's no one out here to save me. You know?
Right. Yeah. Well, like, even before that, it was very scary to even make the decision to check myself in. You know, like, I had never been before. It was my first time going.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all I knew about it really was, you know, anecdotal, like, or what you see in, you know,
It's like it is in movies, but it's also not like it is in movies.
Yeah, it's not really.
I mean, it depends on where you go to
Yeah.
treatment, but
Like, not really.
it's not like the fancy ones that you see in
No.
like Hollywood, but
But it's also not as bad as the bad ones either.
right. Well, I mean, I've been to some psych wards where it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not rehab.
I suppose, you know, but it
Whoops.
it was not a hotel room. It was not a, you know, Airbnb. It wasn't even what I would consider clinical. Like,
I mean, it's somewhere in between like boarding house and hospital room, kind of. I don't know. So where I went to treatment, we were in an old motel, so it was motel beds. So it was actually super comfy in my room. I had one of the newer rooms. I also got the ADA room, so like we had the big shower and like the big bathroom, and there was only 2 beds because there had to be room for, you know, somebody who was in a chair to be able to get in there. And we had a table, and everybody else had 3 to a room. It was just me and a couple. I had a few different roommates over the course of the months that I was there, but we had a table, and so we would host a card night in our room, which the you know, the overnight people loved. They loved that. Mm-hmm. They thought it was great. Anyway,
yeah.
fascinating tangent, Mitchell.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they vary widely. So, you know, my first 11 days were not treatment; they were detox.
Yeah.
And you know, that was somewhere between a jail cell and
Sure.
a hospital room.
Yeah, I was in the ER for 3 days, and then I went to a crisis center in Holland, Michigan, which was very nice. Mm-hmm. And that was a very, very nice place to have the because I had to be off of the Librium, and then they let me keep it anyway. But yeah, anyway, again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
But you were on the waiting side of detox here in town, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you
But I
didn't have-
mean, still
yeah,
cement walls. And,
yeah, it's still detox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've been there too.
Yeah, so-
I've been to that one as well.
it's still not.
That's the last place I was drunk.
Yeah. So I mean, still wasn't like great, but could have been a lot worse. But
Indeed.
you know, and so then a month in inpatient, and then the whole time there, it's like, and even that, my situation, I'm still grateful that I didn't have it as bad as it could have been, because I had a safe place to go back to. The person that I was living with, he didn't drink. He didn't
Sure.
use. And so I had a safe, clean, responsible place to go back to with a roommate who I could be accountable to, that knew I was going to treatment and was fully supportive. And so, like, it was a much better situation than it could have been. And so I didn't have to worry about where was I going to live, at least. So that wasn't on the list of worries, but there was the, how am I going to get money? Because it was the middle of COVID and I didn't have a job, and
Right.
unemployment was running out, and there was no more stimulus money coming. So that
My
whole
parents
worry was
bailed
there.
me out pretty hard, to
And-
be honest with you.
Then after that, it was like, I don't have a car. How am I going to get to, whatever I got to get to doctor's appointments, is all of these other
Yeah.
things. And I got to make sure I'm doing meetings. I got to make sure I've got, and so there was this whole list. And so all of these things that weren't part of my daily life beforehand
Yeah.
are now all of a sudden part of all of the things I've got to figure out and come up with a routine for, and
Right.
also not use, and
Sure.
all of the things. And so what does all of that look like? How do I maintain the friendships that I had with all of the people that I used to hang out with? And how do I, and it just kept piling on. And
Yeah.
there was all of this unknown, not to mention the entire world was going through a pandemic.
Right.
And so all of that, plus, all of the uncertainty that goes along with that, the political landscape.
Am I ever going to work again?
Right. Like,
So,
there was,
There was a long moment there during COVID, because I was in treatment during COVID as well, where it was like, is this how it's going to be from now on?
Right.
Like, there was a real moment where it was like, oh man. I think a lot of people lost it during COVID, because how could you not?
yeah.
How could you not?
Yeah.
And speaking of uncertainty, like, okay, now we have the first human death with the bird flu. So that's exciting. What happens when it's fumbled in this country again? You know what I mean? It's just, it's a lot.
Yeah. And it's understandable to feel overwhelmed with all of that uncertainty. So there had to be some way to start, right? Like, I told myself, like, I have to just get started on this somehow. Like what can I get started on? You know, I can't just sit here and worry and drive myself nuts. And so when I got home after treatment, when I got back to my apartment, very first thing I did was cleaned my entire room, did all of my laundry, cleaned the bathroom, cleaned the kitchen, did all the dishes, and just tidied.
Did you live alone or did you have a roommate?
No, I had a roommate.
Okay.
But like that's what I did to like have a sense of like starting and just like reset. Like I'm home, I'm cleaning this all, I'm getting it organized. Here we go.
Right.
And you know, I spent several hours just doing it all. Right? Like, cause then it was just like a Zen thing for me. I went into this, like, just, this is what I'm doing right now. This is all that I'm doing. I don't have to worry about anything else. All I'm doing is my laundry. I'm putting my laundry away. I'm washing my sheets. I'm making the bed. I'm vacuuming. I'm washing the dishes. I'm cleaning the stove. You know, all of those things. And then once it was all done, I had done several hours of work and cleaning, and
you were exhausted.
I was tired. Was ready for a shower. Took a shower. Got into comfy clothes. Made some junk food that, you know.
Some days I miss junk food.
But it wasn't like just like.
Oh, I know. You, like me, are a frozen pizza connoisseur.
Yeah. It was like frozen pizza and soda.
I have not eaten pizza in so long.
I hopped on a meeting.
Actually, I had one piece over my brother's house.
Like, that was the first thing I did after all of that. Hopped on because everything was online. There weren't in person.
There's no reason not to go.
Right. But like that was then my very next instinct was like, okay, get on a meeting. So I hopped online, jumped into a meeting, and the very first meeting I found was a meeting that kept their Zoom
open
room
24 hours a day.
Open 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So even after the meeting, people just hung out in there.
I mean, sounds fantastic.
And I was like, this is great.
Also not, but
this is perfect. This is exactly what I need. So I sat in there for quite a while afterwards and just chatted with several of the folks. Some of them had like 20, 30 plus years, and I was able to just be like, just
exist,
talk about whatever it was. And listen to most of it was just listening to other people. And I didn't have racing thoughts. Like, I wasn't sitting there thinking about all of my crap all of a sudden. And it just felt really good to like sit there and exist and talk with other people. And yeah, it was good. And so that kind of started to become a routine for me. Was every night I'd hop onto that meeting, because they had a meeting every night at the same time. And, through the day I would chip away at some of the other things I'd have to do, whether it was get my resume put together, get some applications out, get health things, health insurance stuff done, or doctor's
Yeah.
appointments, or whatever I had to do. Just get up in the morning, get a few things checked off of the list, and then, you know, I'd also make sure that I'd set aside a little bit of time to play some video games and have some time to just kind of unwind and have some fun. And then every evening I'd hop into my meeting and sit there and chat with people until it was time for bed.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know, just by doing that, things got figured out. And
See, I didn't figure things out until I moved away from where I was. Coming here was really the catalyst that I needed to affect the positive changes that I was actually looking to get. It was just too easy there.
yeah,
There was no direction, there was no purpose. And if I would have stayed directionless and purposeless here, I probably would not be sitting in front of you now.
yeah,
But thankfully I moved into that Oxford house and kind of just changed my entire life, my outlook. What it was that my purpose might be, So I'm grateful for that still to this day. But, I don't know that I would have had that. I guess I had the same opportunity afforded to me, but I wasn't trying to participate in 12 steps fresh out of rehab. So I would have fought that all day, every day. I wasn't really ready yet from a perspective position. Like I had to make damn sure,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
But I don't regret making sure either, because by the time I made sure, I was damn sure. You know what I mean?
right.
So, I don't know. It was, moving here was, that great unknown moment because, I moved in with a woman, which in retrospect, I don't know why I would have thought that was going to work out if I was going to continue to drink vodka at that rate. Also, lovely woman, but we didn't really know that we didn't have as much in common as we thought. Do you know what I mean? And so that's a real thing.
Yeah,
And then, but I don't hate her, and
Sure.
I hope she doesn't hate me, but I really just needed I needed to feel that last bit of desperation, and yeah, I'm grateful that I found it.
yeah,
I'm grateful that I found it there, because I moved here to quit, and then to not quit, it was just more of me not quitting. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And so,
And I think a lot of people have that kind of as one of the things they need to check off is people, places, and things, right?
yeah,
And I was fortunate in that most of the people in this place, for me, I was very transparent and upfront about what I was planning on doing, that I was going to treatment, that I from the beginning it was no secret what was happening.
right.
And I think I was very lucky that so many of the people were
See,
immediately
I didn't tell anyone. I just disappeared.
and
I disappeared in the night one night.
so many people were immediately in my corner, like, yes, Like,
Well,
and
yeah.
I think most people.
I mean,
like,
when people found out
Finally.
when people found out what I had done, they were like, "Oh, good for you,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
for you." That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
But then the problem, I had was I got back out, and then it was just the same people in the same places doing the same stuff,
Right.
and you can only stay, sober for so long when everybody around you is still doing all the same stuff.
And
You know,
that's part of it. Mm-hmm. But I had to not spend as much time with a lot of the people that's the only reason we spend time together.
Oh, well, that wasn't the only reason I spent time with those people, though.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do know what you
there
mean.
were a lot of folks that really the only reason we spent much time together was
Yeah, I mean, I have plenty of acquaintances like that on my Facebook as well. But, the people who I genuinely care about, we were all doing the same thing. Any one of us could have probably went to rehab because all of us were. I mean, I can be pretty extra and next level, but I'm co-occurring. Not everybody gets to have the fun mental health issues. But that being said, not everybody stays up for days on end because they can't sleep. I don't know. I think that the unknown about school has been, weighing on me pretty heavy the past, 10 days or so, leading into Wednesday. And I've been going over it in my head today, like what could I have done differently to have like changed how my feelings were about it. Like you could like to go back to like what was in my control. Okay, well, none of it, like what's in my control is showing up to class. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? All the rest of it, you don't have control until they give you the assignments. And I was so like concerned that it was going to be super hard, or like, I have enough time? Like, how am I going to manage my time? And I ran myself ragged going over that in my head a million times because I feel like I needed to know. And now that like I said, now that I do know and I know what the schedule is, I can plan appropriately. But I don't know how I could have done it differently. I don't know how I could have stopped that train. Because I sat there and I told myself, well, you don't know what it is. There's nothing to worry about. Like 19-year-olds do this. You can do this. Like average people can do this. Do you know what I mean? Below average people can do this. Let's be real. Below average people can graduate from college. I mean, there are people who graduate college at the bottom of their class. Am I at the bottom of the class? I've never been bottom of a class, ever. So what am I worried about? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you can see the circle running around in my head right now. I know you can. It's just like, why? For what? To what end? What can I control? I can do my homework. I can complete the assignments. I can show up to class. I will do all of these things. So what is the anxiety about? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Maybe I need to go back on Paxil. I don't think that would solve it, honestly.
nope.
It wouldn't at all. No, none of the fun head medications ever really did much except for help me sleep.
Well, and they just address symptoms.
Yeah, and I don't have problems sleeping anymore except for Tuesday night. But
Yeah, they're not addressing the actual issues.
mm-hmm.
So
I'm just gonna have to tape, something on my mirror where it's like, you're good enough to get A's at community college. Okay, off the rails just a little bit. So I was getting a tour last week on Friday because last Friday I told you I had the tour. And so this kid's walking me around, and it, you know, fun, you know, little 19, 20-year-old, and he's like pretty, you know, excited about to show me around. And I'm like, hey, good for you. You're getting paid to do this, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, good for you. And he's taking me through the gym into the facilities, and we go through the locker room and we kind of walk around the gym. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I can definitely work with this. And I go, hey, man, here's the thing though, like, where's the sauna and the hot tub? And he's like, bro, you know you're at community college, right? And that, man, that's just hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. Anyway, yeah. I'm still laughing about it because it was just like, you know, you're at community college. And yes, I definitely do know that. I definitely do know that. Anyway. I'm glad you got a chuckle out of that.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It just makes me smile.
Good.
Yeah. So
do more of that.
I will, now that I know what the schedule is.
They didn't send you a schedule?
Yeah, I mean, I knew when my classes were, but I didn't have like due dates and what the assignment was. None of that went live until class. Yeah, I know. God forbid I get to have a head start. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to spend my weekend doing. Brett is going to edit for us this weekend because he's an awesome co-host to the show. And I need to get ahead on my homework, and my assignments so that I do not feel behind. Hey, at least I know myself. At least I know that as long as I put this effort into it and I feel like I've hit a spot where I don't have to feel pressure and I can stay like 4 days ahead or something like that, brilliant. I don't need to be like 2 weeks ahead. But if I can like stay 4 days ahead so that like if something's due on Saturday, I have it done on Tuesday, that would be fantastic. That way, whatever I'm supposed to be turning in the following, you know what I mean? Then I can turn in the stuff on Tuesday that would be due Saturday. And then I can like keep it like that so that there's not a moment where if something stupid happens, like I slip on some ice and break my leg or whatever dumb crap that happens in life, there doesn't have to be a meltdown.
But do you hear all of the things that you were just doing to yourself just there? Like,
what do you mean?
Setting all of that out as like knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't having all of that as a requirement to not feel anxiety give you anxiety?
No. It gives me less anxiety because I have a plan for it. Do you know what I mean?
Sort of. So,
for instance,
but like you're for me, the way I'm hearing it is you're setting all of this additional work in front of you before the work needs to happen, and giving it priority before anything that might come up. So you're basically forcing yourself into inflexibility.
For 2 days so that I can be flexible going forward. Not really, actually, since we didn't have class Monday, there was a bunch of stuff assigned that's due either Saturday or Sunday that I need to get done. But once that is done, I would like to go ahead.
But then what happens if things do come up?
Mm-hmm.
As life always does, life always has things come up. So aren't you always kind of in a perpetual cycle of feeling like you have to like maintain? So like, are you ever really like actually ahead?
Yeah.
But then when something does happen, then you've got to get caught up to stay ahead. So you're really just continuing to do the work. So you're just piling on anxiety before the anxiety really needs to come on. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess, but
So like
I feel like I'd rather be ahead than behind. You know, like I'd rather be early somewhere than to be late.
but
Do you know what I
forcing
mean?
that buffer,
It's not
arbitrarily.
I don't know that it's forcing it.
but like forcing yourself to always have that buffer.
I feel like it's just being well prepared.
Sure, but if it's a mandate,
If it doesn't get done, dude, I'll live. I would like to see it happen. I would like it to be that way.
but I think I know you well enough to know that that's
That I'm going to stay awake for the next 40 hours doing that.
that you saying I would like that to happen is your way of saying that yes, it's a mandate, but I don't want to say it's a mandate.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I didn't finish getting that basement clean before I started class.
Because it wasn't a mandate. Because class was the mandate. Mm-hmm. So,
But I had told myself that I wanted it ready for demo by the time I started school. And instead of finishing it up on Tuesday, I sat around all day in a giant ball of anxiety about school on Wednesday.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So, you know.
And therein lies my point.
But I made peace with it. I wasn't like upset at myself for not getting it done.
But will you do the same if it comes to school?
Yeah, I mean, like I'd like to be ahead.
Sure.
Excuse me. Gosh. Drink all this bubbly water and then yeah.
I guess all I'm saying is it's something that because I'm the same way, and it's something that I have to be careful of, because it can get to the point where other things that happen in the moment that need to get taken care of can be rationalized as, well, I can't take care of that right now because I have to do this. Even though I don't really have to take care of this right now. I just want to feel that sense of comfort with.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's the idea of like not being able to relax until there's actually nothing to do. Do you know what I mean?
and there's never nothing to do.
Well, I know I still haven't read that book that you gave me, which I feel a way about every time I look at it sitting on the coffee table.
Systems, my friend.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's on the coffee table, so I look at it and feel guilty every day when I
Feeling
look at
guilty
it.
isn't a system. Carve out.
Tell that to the Catholics.
Give yourself 30 minutes. Carve out 30 minutes at the beginning of your day before you get started doing anything else. Read for 30 minutes.
Really what I need to start doing is reading for 30 minutes at like 1 a.m.
And if it helps, tell yourself you'll read for 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's the
Just
whole...
get started.
That's the whole, like... I've read the first 7 pages.
Just get started. Mm-hmm. But get started every day. Do it at the same time.
Does this sound
every day.
familiar, guys?
I'm telling you, I struggle with it. I'm not perfect at it, but if you have a specific time every day.
Well, I'm going to be doing a lot more reading, so it will probably be easier to fit it into
Stack it with a habit you already have.
my
something
scheduling.
you already do.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm really trying to sort out over the like weekend and next week is like, what does my time actually look like? How much time am I going to need to do, like, for instance, my 2 Spanish assignments every 2 days? How much time am I actually going to need for my 2 English assignments every 2 days? How much time am I going to need for my 3 big-ass psychology assignments? And then how much time am I going to need for the 4, math assignments? Math I'm a little less worried about. Like last night, man, it was like riding a bike. I was like, I'm in advanced algebra, and then I'm like, oh, this is like algebra B or algebra 2 in high school. I'm like, I've taken calculus. I was like, oh no. There was one problem that I did in my head, and I was like, oh, that's got to be the answer. And then I was like, is it though? And so I like wrote it all out. And then I was like, I got the same answer. And then I'm like, am I doing my math right? And then so I wrote it all out again. And then I did it all the way the long way. I got the same answer. And then because I was so paranoid about it, I checked in the back of the book. And I'm like, yeah, I was right in my head off the rip. Like, why do I think I can't do math? So wild. Anyway. I showed them all a picture of that diorama I made with the jackalopes and the Lego men sacrificing one of their own to them. But, yeah, they got a kick out of that. So now they know I'm that guy. The kid with the Dungeons and Dragons shirt thought it was cool. Everybody else kind of looked at me like, what is wrong with you? I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyway, I think school's going to be fun, but I need to get a more complete understanding of what it's going to entail for me to get the work that I need to get done. And I guess, yeah, you're right. I'm putting an emphasis and anxiety on something like, who knows, maybe like tomorrow I will breeze through all of my homework in like 6 hours and everything will be done and it will be like, oh, beautiful. And then I won't have like this weird thing about like, oh, well, I can't edit on Fridays because I will have time on Saturdays because I have time on Tuesday to do this stuff that's due Saturday. I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like until next weekend. And that's okay.
You're also assuming that you're going to have the same workload every week.
I can see the syllabus. It's going to be the same workload. It's actually probably going to intensify towards the end of the semester.
You are assuming that you know, though, and that's a dangerous assumption to make. Like,
well,
you never know.
Yeah, I guess
there's no point in. There's no point in making that assumption. Like,
but when you can see the assignment list, it's pretty clear that it's the same amount of stuff every time. Do you know what I mean?
Assuming that absolutely nothing changes.
I mean, okay.
Like,
maybe we'll get lucky and the Earth will get hit by a meteor tomorrow, right?
Who knows, man?
But then you guys will never get to see this. Boo.
All I'm saying is you don't know until it happens. So there's not a whole lot of point. Like, you can make some general plans, but to craft some big grand scheme and then meticulously plan your life around it and be very rigid about everything and have no flexibility like that.
Well, okay, so wanting to plan out the time that I spend on my homework, how is that different than setting aside that half hour to read the book every day? How is that different than setting alarms for your coffee or for your podcasts or for... I mean, like, that's all I want to do is have an understanding of where I need to be spending my time appropriately to do the work that I need to do to get it done.
Having an idea and having a plan is one thing, but having, like, this, like, rigid, like, this is what it's got to be, and I know exactly what it's, like, I have those alarms set to remind me. Basically, like...
How often do you deviate from them?
It depends. Like, but they go off so that I don't have to be constantly checking my phone to know
what time it is.
Is it that time that I should be making my coffee or reading a book or, you know, starting my podcasts? I just have it go off so that I'm not constantly on my phone at early hours of the day because I don't want to be constantly on my phone until a certain time of day. Like, that's what those are for, is purely a reminder of what time it is.
I was awake before every single one of my alarms this week. I
don't stop reading when the next alarm goes off. Like,
I guess I picture you in my head being like, oop,
Some days,
I don't know, man.
some days, if
So,
it's a
like,
good stopping point, you know,
I mean, you're not completely robotic, but sometimes it's like,
it all depends. But they're more there for just those gentle reminders, because like even the tone there, it's a very gentle tone.
is it?
That is more of just that audible, like, oh, it's
Sure.
whatever. It's 8:30. Okay, you know.
So anyway, did you happen to bring a word this week?
I did.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, this is going to be exciting, folks.
Believe it or not, comes from my friend Marcus Aurelius.
No way.
I know. Hard to believe,
It is. It's so hard to believe.
but it's a great word.
Okay.
Vociferous.
Vociferous.
Yeah, you want me to spell it?
No, I think I got it. Let me see. VOCIERPHAOUS.
I would say that's
Vociferous?
close, but no.
Oh, I went way off, didn't I?
VOCIFER
Oh, it was an F.
OUS. Vociferous.
Yeah. Damn, where did I even go with those letters? What was I trying to spell?
I don't know. Not vociferous.
I was like,
Vociferous.
it's like I wanted to say it was a PH because it's from Marcus Aurelius, but
Vociferous. Especially of a person or speech. It is an adjective meaning vehement, or
Vehement.
clamorous. He was a vociferous opponent of the takeover. Vociferous.
oh. Yeah. I like it.
I do too.
Yeah. That's a good word.
Yeah.
I'm glad I started this.
Yeah. Marcus
I
uses
had-
a lot of good words.
I had a really good word in my psychology textbook, but I forgot what it was, and I don't have it here today. So I just brought the word of the day off of Merriam-Webster, which is Wanderlust.
Wanderlust?
Yeah. Well, it's German, so Wanderlust.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's the desire to travel. Which is funny because I know a lot of people who, chased festivals around or followed fish or the died around.
Yep.
Old enough that people follow the dead still. Anyway, I never got that.
I knew some folks that did that. I did like a week where I did like Yonder.
Okay, yeah. I've seen more Humphrey shows than I would care to mention.
But that was I just kind of tagged along with some friends. I wasn't as big of a fan of the band. It was more so like I had
Friends who
the
were doing
time
it.
available and
Yeah.
the opportunity to go, and so it was like,
I guess
I'll go travel around Colorado
being on tour
and go see Red Rocks. And,
is like what I think of as wanderlust, at least in our age group.
yeah, for me it was less about the shows
Than it
and
was about
more
going, yeah.
I want to go travel around Colorado and
Yeah,
Nevada
I
and
mean,
Arizona.
And let's be fair, Yonder Mountain String Band is very fun bluegrass.
It was great.
It's very their music is so fast, and I love fast music. So.
Yeah, it was a great time, and I got to see some very, very cool, areas of the Southwest and like outdoor shows, and it was awesome.
Good times.
Yeah, so I would say that it satisfied my wanderlust
Perfect.
for that area.
So anyway, if you guys have made it this far, it'd be cool if you put a like on the video.
Yeah,
Maybe subscribe if you have not already.
yeah.
If you would like the AdSense gods to chime your phone every time we drop new content, which we try to be daily, you can go ahead and hit the notification bell. If you're listening to us on Spotify or any of the other podcast places like iTunes or whatever, if you guys want to leave us a review, 5 stars would be great. I definitely wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah.
That way, we get put in front of more people who might be interested in the same stuff.
Yeah.
But we definitely love and appreciate you guys for that.
Yeah. And, just to put a nice tidy bow on it, if you guys have concerns or, any kind of challenges or fears with anything coming up in your life, anything with the unknown, hit us up in the Discord. Let's
happy to chat about it. Absolutely.
Be happy to share some resources.
And no matter what happens,
meetings.
We will maintain this as a safe space for individuals who are trying to further their recovery.
Absolutely. So reach out, pick up the phone, talk to folks that care about you, people in your network. And
more than ever, we need each other.
Yeah. Yep. Be good to each other out there. Do something kind for somebody else today.
Heck yeah, brother. I think I only swore once. Anyway.
No, you didn't.
God damn it. Love you guys.